I literally don't talk to anyone unless they talk to me first. NPC Energy. Recently I was in a public place, chatting quietly with my friends, and this unattended child came out of nowhere and asked me to clarify one of the things I'd said. So I explained myself to this kid, and as soon as he got an answer, he turned around without saying anything and continued on his way. It really felt like he'd just walked up to me and pressed A post-apocalyptic world, but instead of the Mad Max nonsense basic brothers are in love with, most of us just join farming communities. Do you know how many people actively enjoy growing their own food and creating their own clothes and crafts? When this capitalist hellscape collapses, you're nuts if you think we are not taking advantage of that. The post-apocalypse is the farmer's market renaissance you imagine, but everyone still dresses like they're extras from Mad Max for the aesthetic. I hate how reward systems never work for me. Like, I can't just say, if I finish this assignment, I can have a cookie, because my brain is like, or you could just have one right now, and I can't argue with that logic. Self-imposed deadlines don't work either, because I know the guy who set them, and he's full of I keep thinking about how Henry Cavill had to taper off water for like 3 days before shooting any shirtless scene in The Witcher, and how Chris Evans pretty much did the same thing playing Cap, and honestly hearing that full on broke any sense of attraction I've ever had for that kind of definition on a guy. I'd had no idea that's what it takes, and if that's what it takes, then that's not a thing for me. Drink some fucking water, Jesus Christ. Everyone should know and understand this. Healthy, hydrated skin is plump and soft. If you see anyone with tons of muscle definition, it's probably because they're badly dehydrated to the point of needing an IV. I'm gonna dip a clementine in ranch. Why do you hate Jesus? Jesus is my homeboy, but God has a lot to answer for, and my rebellion will continue until he does so. That's a fucking quote. That's going to end up being one of those quotes that are completely stripped of their context and passed around as the rawest, most profound thing, and when someone finds out it's about dipping clementines in ranch dressing and freaks out, I hope you'll be proud of yourself. I know I would be. Shakespeare is not pretentious. Fans of Shakespeare are pretentious. Shakespeare is 1200 dirty jokes strung together by increasingly ridiculous plotlines and increasingly homosexual characters. Don't let the archaic language fool you. Fall of Icarus, Hubris of Man, 2019, colorized, and reference. People have tagged this as life imitates art, and I need you to understand that no. I saw this picture of my friend falling off the goddamn swing, and thought it represented human hubris so well, that I went into a made haze of acrylic paint, and when I awoke, I was holding this finished canvas. Someone help me find that image of 4 cats being held up in front of a brightly colored background. The cats look calm being held, but each have their own personality. Never mind, I found it. In a simple experiment, researchers at the University of Chicago sought to find out whether a rat would release a fellow rat from an unpleasantly restrictive cage if it could. The answer was yes. The free rat, occasionally hearing distress calls from its compatriot, learned to open the cage, and did so with greater efficiency over time. It would release the other animal, even if there wasn't the payoff of a reunion with it. Astonishingly, if given access to a small hoard of chocolate chips, the free rat would usually save at least one treat for the captive, which is a lot to expect of a rat. The researchers came to the unavoidable conclusion that what they were seeing was empathy, and apparently selfless behavior driven by that mental state. A new model of empathy, The Rat by David Brown, Washington Post. I wonder if my ancestors are smelling up at me sometimes. You. Making our little thing with clay. The ghosts of Australopithecus. Yes 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 yes. Mesopotamian souls, going apesh and cheering in the netherworld. Clay, 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 clay. Your blog fails to make me smile. I love you. Did you forget the word never, or is this a hate message? Please, don't ask anyone out as a joke or a dare on Valentine's Day. That isn't funny. Please, don't ask anyone out as a joke or a dare. That isn't funny. Snoth. I've discovered the ultimate life form. Date a girl who will drag you outside at 3 AM to look at the stars. If anyone, and I mean anyone, even Jesus Christ himself, wakes me up at 3 AM to go look at the damn sky, they will be removed indefinitely from my life. In Japan, radiation creates monsters, Godzilla, and in America, radiation creates superheroes. Shockingly, it's almost like Japan and America have very different narratives surrounding nuclear fallout. Now, if we all think very hard, maybe someone could think of why this might be. Change. This man does the math and delivers your change. List of words containing meow, meow, meowed, meowing, meows, homeowner. This post f***ed me up. I put Jurgen's natural glow on one part of my arm to see what would happen, and now I regret it. Wow, she really needs to shave her legs. I'm a fucking man. Why I need feminism. I just need whatever you put on your arm. I don't tan at all. Ever. I literally said what it was. This post is such a fucking mess. Is no one going to talk about the perfect rectangular shape this thing makes on her arm? I literally said I was a man already. Why is this still happening? We going to skip how white people trying to be black? Again. Are you on fucking crack? Don't feel like posting today so. If I ever become a history teacher, I'm going to write gullible on the ceiling. Then, in the middle of class, I'll announce, there's gullible written on the ceiling. After the whole look versus not look shenanigan occurs, I shall then slam my books on my desk, prop myself up, lean forward, and say, welcome to history. Your first lesson? Check your facts for yourself. Chaotic evil. Chaotic learning. You know study, you play with pebbles. Its name is Pebbles. Why do we have hands? There are many reasons. Pat the moose. Slap the bongo drum. Shake stick at God. Oof, ouch. The water is too hot. Hey OP, where's your Earl? There's no Earl, because God sent this post down to us. Ghost character that goes ooh and rattles chains, and eventually we see a flashback to when they were alive and constantly went ooh and rattled chains, surrounded by regular people at the office. My fiance and I were discussing the worst metal to use to make armor, and the obvious answers are lead and gold, but she cunningly suggested mercury, which is a fair point, but then I wondered if solid mercury is any good. Googling told me that the melting point of mercury is -38°C, -37°F. So first you get it really fucking cold. At that point, it turns out that mercury has a tensile strength of 1900 MPa, compared to lead's 18 and steel's 500 to 940, depending upon the kind of steel. Now, I know that tensile strength is not necessarily the best measure of material's ability to function as armor, but I'm a liberal arts major, and didn't care to actually do that much more research before going straight to evil ice demons in mercury armor. The PCS can't loot it, because when they put it on, it melts and kills them. Ice demons wielding weapons made of frozen mercury. Spearheads that break off and melt inside the target. Swords that leave tiny bits of melted mercury inside the wound. The swords refreeze to razor sharpness, while in the ice demon's claws, item, blades, spears, and or arrowheads made of mercury frozen by ice magic can only be used by one with ice magic, but deliver whatever damage the weapon type would normally make, plus equal amounts of cold, and 1d8 poison. Once the wound has been delivered, it continues to deliver 1d8 poison until the mercury has been removed by healing magic. Wish and see. I had a dream last night that I worked at McDonald's and I was behind the counter when this guy dressed in a tuxedo with white dicky and tie was snapping his fingers for a server. I went over and he asked to see our darkest red, and I knew he was talking about wine. So I said, "Sir, this is McDonald's. The darkest red we have here is ketchup," and he had me pour him a glass of ketchup, and he drank it while looking me directly in the eye. Reasons I believe my friend is secretly some kind of deity. 1. First time we spoke was a week after the beginning of freshman year. She summed up my entire character and most of the events of my life Sherlock style. I asked her how the hell she knew all that. She just shrugged and said she figured out our entire class already. 2. The one time we had religion class instead of ethics, she listened to the teacher for a few minutes, laughed and told me, "Humans have wished to be gods so much, they've forgotten they have the ability to create them. Imagination has truly suffered from this monotheism stuff." I was confused and asked her if she was an atheist. She rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, I believe in God, alright. I just don't think the bastard deserves to be worshipped." 3. Out of nowhere she gave me this advice. The only truth a liar ever told was that lies weren't going to save you. Don't become the liar who has to pass that wisdom on because they speak from experience. 4. To this day, she has one of those old Timmy phones with buttons she only uses to occasionally call someone. When I asked her why she never got a smartphone, she got pouty. I hate social media. On Facebook they talk a lot, but never say anything. If I wanted to listen to people moan about their problems and ask for help, they don't expect I'd listen to their prayers. Notice the choice of words. 5. I noticed she was stiff and I offered her a massage since I'm really good at it, but when I started kneading her back, I swear to this day, those were not muscles I felt. I asked her what she did to turn her muscles into rocks, covered with a thin layer of skin, and she kinda froze then shrugged and said she was just really stiff. My hands hurt after 10 minutes, when I can usually go for an hour. Next time I offered, she seemed surprised and laughed. She still has rocks for muscles. 6. We were having a debate over the way neural pathways are formed. I study biology and she forensics, and I jokingly asked if I could have her brain for study when she dies. She laughed. "Sure, if you find a way to kill me, you can have it. I'm actually curious what you're gonna find." 7. One time she was tired and miserable, and I tried to comfort her. We both have really dark sense of humor, so I told her she could scare the dead out of their graves with that glare. She told me the dead can't come back, and I rolled my eyes and said, "Obviously," but she continued, "When you die, you descend to the underworld with nothing to lose. To keep you, they give you something to lose. When you want to return, they will demand it back. That's why nobody ever leaves. The only way out is to never enter." 8. One day she just came up to me with a disappointed look on her face. When I asked her what was wrong, she was quiet for a few seconds and then just told me, "Betrayals committed in good intentions are still damning. Just keep that in mind." Then she left and didn't speak to me for 3 days. I still don't know what she meant, but even 3 years later, I haven't forgotten it. 9. We were casually sitting on a bench when, out of nowhere, she asked me, "Is it just me, or have humans gotten dumber? Or have they always been this stupid and I just haven't been paying attention?" 10. She asked me if I ever wondered what it was like to die. I said no, but told her I would tell her when I found out. I meant it as a ghost joke, but she smiled at me and said, "Great. I'll wait for you to come back. Maybe you'll even remember me." In conclusion, she is some kind of low-key god, and she lost her faith in humanity even before we lost our faith in her, but she's stuck with us because immortality is a B. P.S. I just remembered her name is a variation on Eve. Maybe I should reconsider my atheist status?